up, y'all? It's your girl Chanel with Relationship Status.
Live. Your boy J Powell checking in.
Guys, we're going to be dealing with comparison, the enemy to self-worth. And we got a few guests. We got a packed house up in here tonight. We got Jonay over here. Jonay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonay King, the CEO and founder of Black Lives Matter. And my brand is pretty much to advocate for the married Black woman's self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I am. Hey, y'all.
Okay. And Dr. Short, who are you?
Yo, what's up? I'm Dr. Rico Short, the root canal specialist to the stars, a Grace Life teacher, an inspirational motivator. So I'm glad to be a special guest on the show with you guys, and just ready to get it cracking.
All right.
Boy, got that radio voice going heavy, boy.
Well, I'm going to start off with,
He got those drops ready. He just whole dick.
All right. So we're going to jump right on into this topic, guys. And I'm kind of going to do something a little different. I was going to kind of deal with this at the end, but I feel the need to deal with it right now. One of the reasons why I invited Jonay on the show tonight is because I wanted to have a female presence that could kind of help me have this conversation from a healthy space.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted people who watch the show to be able to walk away with something that they could kind of apply to their own personal situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and just read. Women are notorious for comparing ourselves to other women. We compare ourselves to another woman's physical features, coveting her slim body, her gorgeous hair, and her flair for fashion. We compare ourselves to another woman's talents and abilities. We envy her social status, expensive home and possessions, her flourishing career, her ability to make friends, and her successful husband or handsome boyfriend. Without realizing it, when we compare ourselves to other women, we actually define ourselves. You can't experience your beauty until you fully accept yourself.
Absolutely. So what I took away from that is women are we are notorious for that, but in that same breath, we have to be comfortable with who we are. Mm-hmm. That is just the bottom line. We do have moments where we fall into the insecurities, the fears, and shying away from that is not going to make things any better. You have to accept that part of you, right, and then move forward in a healthy manner. Mm-hmm. So once you accept the fact that, yeah, I might be a little insecure in some states, let me work on that to be comfortable with what I am and who I am. So I agree with everything that's said. Like, you can't experience your beauty until you fully accepted yourself. Mm-hmm. But accepting your insecurities is also healthy as well, because once you start feeling like you're never going to have insecurities, that's a fail. That's a fail. Men, women, it doesn't matter. That's not going to work, because we're always going to be insecure in some fashion. You have to be able to confront your insecurities.
Right. So let me ask you this, because you and I had a conversation the other night, and one of the things, a lot of times women, they have like this pseudo Herculean like way about themselves, like, you're not supposed to be insecure, you're not supposed to be that. But what I just heard you say was you have to accept it. Absolutely.
If you don't accept, like, come on, you can't be in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm so secure, I don't think anything is wrong with me. That's BS. Right. Really. Like, we all have things that we are not comfortable with, but we are comfortable enough to accept what we were given. Mm-hmm, so I think it's a bunch of crap when people tell other women, men and women, to just not have insecurities. That's not even possible. It's not feasible.
Right. To do. So I know that ladies, so y'all know I'm the voice for the single lady. Mm-hmm. Like, I advocate for you guys. I really do, because we experience a lot. We go through a lot, and we're expected to hold it together, keep ourselves about ourselves, what I'm saying, not show any level of emotion. Right. But what I want to do on this show, I want to talk about 6 ways to stop comparing yourselves to others. Like, I want to talk about how not to do this, because I want to make sure that the ladies that are listening and the men feel empowered when they leave this show.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to start with number 1, assess your self-esteem. Josh, you got that one?
Yep. With some people, when they are comparing themselves to others, it can often come from a lack of self-esteem. To start to understand why you are comparing yourself to others, it is worth assessing how you feel about yourself and how much self-confidence you have. If you know that you don't have great self-esteem, then this may be the reason for your comparisons. Try to focus on your self-worth and confidence. Work on yourself and not on others around you. If you can learn to love yourself, focus on your own self-care. This can help you to stop comparing yourself to others.
So what do you think about that?
I mean, I felt every word for that, because I know for myself, you know, the way I grew up and things that I've been through, things that I experienced, you know what I'm saying? I got drugged through the mud by people that was closest to me.
Mhm.
So that kind of helped me snap into a different way of thinking pretty early on.
How did you deal
So-
with the betrayal?
So what now?
How did you deal with the betrayal? You said that you got drugged through the mud. How did you deal with that?
I mean, because I think for me, just understanding like my grandparents, for example, the things that they instilled in me, you know what I mean, teaching me how to love myself and you know, really appreciate who I am. And you know, God put me on this earth for a reason, and you know, just certain things that they would tell me in life that really helped me grow and blossom as a young man. And I just continue to carry those things with me. And then that, along with playing the game of basketball, football, and baseball, it just helped me grow and evolve, I guess, even more so. Because one of the things that I heard early on, which stuck with me forever and a day, is don't block your blessings by comparing yourself to somebody else. And I think a lot of times we get consumed and worrying about, you know, well, why, for example, in the sports world, you know, why is this guy getting more playing time? Why is this guy, you know, doing this, or why is he doing that? And if I continue to focus on that, I'm not able to do the things that I need to do to get better, or to put myself in a position where I'm out there on the field or on the court to be able to produce.
But I mean, how do you feel about the why? I mean, like, I want to know, like, transparently, like, Dr. Short, like, is it okay to ask why, or should you gloss over it, or do you deal with it? Do you like, what am I trying to say? Do you take it head on? Like, do you address it, or do you pretend like it doesn't exist?
Well, I think you got to definitely address it. I mean, I always say comparison is the thief to joy.
Absolutely.
And repeat that. Comparison is the thief to joy. As long as you're comparing yourself to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happens is that's how you get your joy stolen.
Yes.
And it's a thief. It truly is, because it's a never-ending treadmill. And no matter what you have, if you see somebody else have something better, a nicer looking, you know, spouse or a nicer car, and then, you know, that's, you know, it's like a cancer that gets into you, and you want more and want more, and it never can be satisfied. So really, at the root of it, you really got to have people that really truly care about you around you. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. You know, I was raised in a single parent household, never knew my father, so I didn't have that positive male role model that said, hey, you know what, you're good like where you are, you know. And I had to learn, you know, the hard way, where I had to try to, you know, hang out with my buddies and let them try to define me so I can figure out who I am. And so if you don't have those positive role models, like Josh said, then, you know, you really can, you know, find yourself lost out there and trying to be something you're not.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So let's go with number 2. Appreciate what you have, which is what you just essentially
Right.
said. When you could do something that helps you switch your focus onto yourself rather than others, this will really help you to stop making comparisons. To do this, try and start appreciating what you have. Focus on the good things in your life and feel and express gratitude for them. When you are doing this, you start to feel more positive and grateful for your life and stop focusing on what you are lacking. What do you think, Jonay?
Well, that sounds like what I say every day. You know, once you express gratitude, you invite more. Like if you open. Oh, you done turned the camera on me, girl.
I want people to see you.
You know, once you express that you are accepting and open to receive something, that's when you invite it. You know, so you have to be open and ready to receive. So appreciating what you have is how you invite more of what you have.
Right.
So if you want more money, or if you want more love, you know, I always, you know, I'm a relationship coach, of course.
Yes.
So when my clients say, I want I want more love. I want to be loved.
Yes.
I'm like, you have to appreciate the small things. You have to engage in the small things and make sure that you are showing nothing but gratitude for that, so you can invite more, not just focus on what you don't have. If you're focusing on, oh, well, we went out to dinner, but I really want to go on vacation. Like, that's not the move. You have to focus on what you have so you can invite more of what you want.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to keep on with this topic when we come back from break. Comparison, the enemy to self-worth. On Power 108.9. Sorry about that. Yes.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there before. I've done this trip.
And then you gotta get a drive
Yeah.
to Morgantown.
Yeah, I spoke there last year.
You speaking to their dental?
Yeah,
Program?
to the dental students. And
Wow. Yeah, I'm not here. I haven't been back since 2010.
Oh, really? It was not. I mean, the
Actually, yes,
campus
I
really
like
nice.
it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
It was nice.
Okay. It is on. But it's loud. I don't want it to be loud.
All right, so where we going when we come back? You wanna? You got something that you wanna share?
Oh yeah, I'll look at it.
Yeah, number 3.
It's your girl Chanel. We're back on relationship status.
It's your boy J Powell checking in.
So, guys, before we went on break, we was talking about comparison, the enemy to self-worth. My girl P over here, she got something that she wanted to add to the conversation.
She said, "Oh my gosh."
I'm still reading through over here, but yeah, I think that the easiest way, like for me personally, like overcoming comparison is definitely not an easy thing to do. It's a human emotion, but I think when we all kind of take a step back and kind of like practice observing, like we kind of already talked about a few things, like appreciating what you have, like being able to kind of see yourself, and I think also once you get to a level of like appreciating everything that you have and kind of seeing your self-worth, I think it's okay for you to look at other people's life as a example of maybe where you want to be, especially like being around people who are doing maybe better than you are in a field that you want to be a part of or whatever it may be. Like definitely take that as motivation, but definitely keep in mind those checks and balances, that you're not maybe feeling resentful or envious of the other person, but that you're genuinely trying to use their life as an example to move yours forward in your own path.
So I want to kind of dig a little bit deep, because something that stood out. At what point? Because I mean, like you said, it's good to kind of glean from other people that may be doing better than you. Absolutely, that's why we have mentors, and people that we look up to and respect, right? But at what point does it become dysfunctional? At what point does it become toxic? Right?
Yeah. When you start to stalk. I feel like if you're doing too much digging and searching, like you're inspired by them, but then it slowly turns into some single black female kind of behavior.
Right.
So that's when it becomes unhealthy, when it starts to become the only admiration, like you're just aspiring to be like that person, to become that person, and not just to be inspired by them. That makes sense?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So then I want to also, because a lot of times, I mean, you're right. When you begin to stalk, that is unhealthy and is very dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
But what about scenarios when, like, for instance, I want to use this because I've struggled with this in the past. You in a situation where, you're dating, or you have friends, friends, and then another woman enters the situation. I mean, there has to be a level of accountability on both people's parts, right?
So explain. So you're dating someone, and then another woman shows up as his friend, or it could be being unfaithful, or what?
It could be a friend. It could be someone else. It could be a dating where you're dating multiple people. It could be that.
Okay.
Right. It could be that. But there has to be a certain level of accountability. The reason I'm asking is I have been in a scenario like that where, you're like, well, why didn't I wrote a book about this? Why didn't this person pick me? Why her and not me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think the why her and not me thing is pretty much because you weren't for that person.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. It's really, we try to put so much heat on maybe if I was slimmer, or maybe if I had straighter hair, or maybe if my nose was straight, or maybe if I had bigger hips, or whatever the case is. The fact of the matter is, we are supposed to be with who we're going to be with, regardless. So it's nothing that we can do, conform and alter ourselves to be more of what someone else needs. Basically, be the best you can be, and then you will attract who is attracted to that.
Absolutely. So,
but as far as why we do that is like, what's your name? Paris. Like Paris said, it's human nature. We're just going to compare ourselves because that's what we are taught, and we have to unteach ourselves these unhealthy habits.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you unteach?
Shit. Sorry. So like, sorry.
You good. Don't have no blockout button. Just say what's on your mind.
But seriously, so myself, I can be transparent and share. Before I got married, this is my second marriage.
Okay.
You know, I was married before, got married extremely young, 21 years old, married 3 kids, and ended up feeling like I was trapped.
Okay.
I was with someone that made me feel like I could not live without him financially. So it was kind of like, you know, what are you going to do without me kind of thing, right? So I did compare myself to other people that had it together, that had a better job or had more money, or parents that would help more. And how I was able to overcome it is stop caring. I really had to get to a point where I hit rock bottom, and I had to stop caring and had to run my own race. And with that, that's how I built power.
Absolutely.
That's how I built strength. And I was able to, again, find myself. And once I found myself, I attracted my husband now. So, you know, I heard from other people, you know, when you dull the noise, you can hear so much more clear. I heard, you know, who's going to want you? 25, 3 kids, who want you? I've heard that. I heard that for a while. And I had to make sure that I was on the path to where I didn't care what people thought, because I knew my own worth. And then once I knew my own worth, I attracted somebody who also wanted to elevate with me. So, yeah.
That's good.
That's what happened, girl.
That's good. You said something that stood out to me. You said, you know, run your own race.
Yes.
Right. And I have learned that you have to stay in your own lane.
Absolutely.
And run your own race. But you also have to surround yourself with people who are healthy for you. You know what I'm saying?
And once you start running your own race, you start realizing that the people that are unhealthy, they start falling off. They fall off your track. You don't even have to cut people off. You know, I used to do that too. I'm sure everybody in here done been a victim of cut them off. They start falling off because they no longer align with where you're going.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's good. I hear you agreeing.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, that, you know, that's the energy, because when you have a certain type of vibe, a certain type of energy, and then people can't get on your frequency, you know. And so just like anything else, I mean, you're trying to dial into a certain frequency, you can't get it, you know, AM can't flow at FM, you know, so it's not going to work out. And a lot of times that's what happens. And then, you know, when you get in your own zone, you know, for a minute you might feel lonely, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
You know, that's okay, because you're getting in your own zone, and you're feeling who you are, you're learning who you are. And just like young lady said, you're going to attract who's supposed to be attracted to you, and they're going to feel your vibe, and you're going to be on the same frequency. And then you get together and you get to grow, you know, and you get to, you know, basically, you know, you become a team, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What do you think, Josh?
Well spoken.
Amen.
Sometimes you just got to respect what it is. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to beat that one.
All right. So let's see here. We'll go to the next one then. Recognize that you are incomparable. When you compare yourself, you're often saying that you want to be more like that person or have what that person has and try to compete with them. This can really cause you to become negative and unconfident, as you are really telling yourself that you're not good enough. Instead of wishing you were like someone else, you can always improve on yourself and become a better version of yourself. Work on things you are not happy about. Know your self-worth and understand how unique you are. You cannot be compared to others because you are your own person. Try and focus and work on yourself rather than trying to be like someone else. Now, my thing is, in the context of relationship, how I'm seeing this, for me, I can only speak for myself. I've never wanted to be like someone else. Like, I'm cool in my own skin. I've just got myself in compromising situations where I've been made to feel like, and I accept responsibility and accountability for my part in it, but made to feel like I'm not good enough. And then you compare in that sense of, okay, first of all, you got to figure out how you got there, first of all. But then you're like, well, why? You know, like that. I read this meme where, you know, a person talks about how amazing you are, this, that, and the other, but you're just not for me. This is a form of rejection. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you figure out how you get there, but then you got to figure out like how to disconnect so that it doesn't damage your self-esteem or make you feel any, you know, worse about yourself than what you really do, but you do already.
Okay. My response to that is nobody can make me feel like I'm not good enough for them. But I did not wake up like this. Okay, nobody can make me feel like I'm not good enough. If somebody says, "Oh, you're this, you're that, you're just not for me," I applaud you, because a lot of people will string you along and make you feel like you are all of these things, and knowing that that's not really what they had intention for your relationship together.
Right.
So you've been in a situation. You're speaking from your experience. You've been in a situation where you're a great person, just not for that person.
Right.
And how you get past it without feeling like your self-esteem is bruised or damaged. There's no, I don't think it's no way around it. You have to go through that pain. Like, you have to go through that test in order to even have a testimony. You have to be able to run the race.
Run your race.
You have to be able to do that. So for me to say, oh, you know, there's a way to not get your feelings hurt, that you have feelings.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I want to acknowledge too, because when we did the last ministry, the relationship platform, we had someone on the platform, like, she just kind of glossed over that. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I have the platform, because I want to create an open, transparent space where we can talk openly about how we feel and have those feelings acknowledged and not be disregarded.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I want, if you feel a certain type of way, say that.
Right.
If somebody hurt your feelings, say that and let that be okay. Don't let a person make you feel like it's not okay.
Men and women, we have issues with our ego. You know, statistically, we only talk about men's ego. I know I have a big ego. I have a huge ego, so it can get bruised. So we both have, men and women have a tendency to fall into the, I'm not going to talk about my feelings because that's going to make me appear weak, especially Black people. We don't want to show any signs of weakness ever. And that's something that I hope is changing, and we're disrupting that to where platforms like this and platforms like mine make sure that we're able to share our feelings and not be judged for it.
Right.
So this is definitely something that needs to continue, because we don't feel, as a people, we don't feel comfortable with talking about our feelings. We don't feel comfortable about talking about our hurt or how we've been jaded over the years. We don't talk about,
because people judge you.
Yeah.
People judge you. I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to do relationship status, I mean, it's an extension of ministry, is because I wanted to create that space where you could be open, honest, transparent, talk about your hurt, talk about your pain. So many times when we talk about our friend, you know, it's only so much your friend's going to listen to, and then they're going to shut it down. They're like, I don't want to hear about that no more.
Right.
But I wanted to create a space where you could be open and talk about it and deal with it and share each other's perspectives and views, you know, and maybe I can glean from you, maybe you can glean from me. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it.
This is awkward. Speaking of perspectives, though, I think that like a daily practice to help before you even get to an emotional relationship with anyone is kind of like realizing that the way that I view the world is the way that I view the world, and no one else can view the world through my lenses. And so it's kind of like I can find something absolutely amazing, and through your perspective, whether it be your past experiences or your own like self image issues, you are going to see things in a certain way. So I feel like if you can accept that with every person that you interact with, how they respond is their own inner environment, it's a reflection of that, then it helps when you come into that situation, in romantic situations, when you've been let down, when someone says, maybe you're great, but you're not for me. You genuinely have to accept it at face value. And that is what it is, because that's their perspective. As long as you keep an inner knowing in your inner environment that you're good with yourself, that is going to make that a lot easier, but it does take a practice in that.
And I want to just say this. Let me just break through that. Dudes know. They be playing a game.
Mhm.
You know, most dudes know if they taking you serious or not. You
Mhm.
know, and if a lot of times what I found, I've been married now. Yesterday was our 15th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thanks. So you know, so and
Good.
even prior to that, I never wanted to be married because I
Okay.
saw very toxic marriages. My mom never been married, single
Mhm.
parent household. So I'm like, man, you know, why would I want to eat the same Ritz cracker when there's all kinds of difference to you know, to enjoy? You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
just being real.
Right. Right.
And so then I learned about, you know, it's more about, you know, commitment,
Mhm.
you know, and building. And I always say guys are funny because a lot of times dudes get married because their buddies got married.
Right.
I'm gonna repeat that. Dudes that get married because they buddies and they don't want to feel left out.
Wow.
And a lot of my friends, they did that and they ended up getting divorced after like 2 or 3 years because they weren't really with it. But it was like a time factor. And I'm gonna repeat this. A lot of guys get married when they feel like a certain time.
Yes.
Whoever that female is that's around, that's the person they probably gonna marry.
Right.
Right or wrong, that's just how it works.
So I mean, I want to stick a pin right there because that's something you said something because so often we internalize when we are not picked. But what you just said is it's a time factor, and whoever's around at that particular time is the person who you probably will end up marrying, and not so much a pick or a choice, or you know what I'm saying?
She just happened to be there.
She just happened to be there.
Yeah, and the
Time.
buddies get married. You know, then you know maybe a little pressure on, and then you know you can't hang out with the buddies, your normal buddies in the club, and they say, hey man, it's time to settle down. Well, it's all our time to settle down, you know. And if you're not careful and you're not going into the relationship, especially the marriage in the right way, I mean it's gonna be hell. I mean, marriage is tough alone, and that's what all the quote unquote good pieces are together. I mean, you're still gonna have ups and downs, but when you just jump in there just because somebody say, oh, it's your time to get married, or your mom look at you and put that pressure on, when you gonna give me some grandkids?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we all been there,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get married and get some grandkids. And then, you know, if you're not in the right space,
Yes.
you know, and then it can be trouble. I mean, if you're not established, you know, mentally, spiritually, financially, man, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
So when we come back, I want to pick up right where you left off because this is good. I think we just had a breakthrough. But we'll be back, guys. It's relationship status on Power 108.9. Like this, but we invite like some local celebrities or influential people in the community, and we kind of hash it out. It's usually like men and women. I always like to get, you know, a combination of both, you know, where we can talk about a particular topic and just kind of get each other's views and perspectives, audience engagement. Like I said, I had wrote a book about it. This scenario that happened like a little when I went through it, I was in church, so I experienced a church hurt. And so, you know, when you're in church, you can't really talk about right. So guys, oh my bad.
Yeah.
Y'all know I'm quick to the pool. Quick to the pool. I'm usually slow to the pool.
Little CC on the beat. Yeah, yeah. I mean, where should I really even start?
All right, guys, it's your girl Chanel. We're back here on Relationship Status Live.
Your boy J Powell checking in.
And we were talking about comparison the enemy to self-worth, but we have Dr. Short here, and he was really dropping some knowledge. And I want to kind of pick up where we left off because, you know, you said, you know, it's about timing, you know, when you decide to settle down and marry. And so since we were on that particular topic and you have been married, you said for 15 years yesterday, right? So I want to know, like, for the ladies, like, because of what you said, how did you know? Like, what was it in you that said, you know what, it's time?
Well, you know, before me and my wife got married, we dated off and on for like 5 years.
Off and on. I got to talk about that too. But
So, you know, because I was young, you know, I'm coming out, you know, a lot of my friends, you know, either celebrities or they deal with celebrities.
Yeah.
And I was coming out of dental school and, you know, I was young. I was 25 and, you know, I wanted to really kind of enjoy life kind of thing. And so I met my now wife, who's my girlfriend. And I'm like, you know what? She's good, but I'm not ready.
okay.
I knew it was me. I'm not ready, but I didn't want to like let her go all the way like that.
Because I was going to
knew she
ask
was
you
the right
that.
one. So I was just like, you know, let me just kind of, you know, in fact, what happened was I was a dentist and I was practicing in Columbus, and then I ended up going back to school in Miami.
Okay.
And, you know, at the time, she wanted to come with me. I'm like, nah, you can't come to Miami.
Were you dating other people is what I want to ask.
No,
Okay.
I was exclusive.
Exclusive. Okay.
Yeah, at the time. And then, but I knew when I got down to Miami,
Mhm.
you know, with my homies,
Yeah.
I'm like 25 on South Beach and hanging out with everybody from Pink to Usher and rolling up with Rick Ross and Trick Daddy and all them folks. I'm like, it's gonna be rough up here, the King of Diamonds, you know, solo, you know, like that.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
it was tough. So we had to take a little sabbatical
Okay.
in the relationship, and then
How did you communicate that though?
I kind of it was tough. It was a tough communicate.
I wish you was on the mic because I want to know how did he communicate. I want to hear from your perspective.
Okay, all right.
I actually broke up with him because no, but
We got to hear you though.
I actually broke up with him because I knew he wasn't ready. And
Okay.
so I knew what I had to offer.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't gonna let anybody change me who I was.
Right.
So I just cut it off. And I'm the type of person when I cut it off, I cut it off. Like I don't play games. And maybe that's how I was raised. I had West Indian parents. So I
Okay.
just
But how
So-
did you, like, I want to ask, as a woman though, so you cut it off, how did you manage the emotional aspect? Because I mean, you cared for him, I'm sure. So
well, I did because we probably were like a couple years. We were probably like a couple years in,
hold it.
and you know, I mean, it's hurtful. It's never anything fun.
Mhm.
But I just knew if I would have continued down the road, our
Yes.
relationship would have never turned out if we had a chance.
Okay.
So, I mean, when I cut it off, like I said, I took time to reflect on myself and just
Mhm.
remembered, because I felt like I started getting away from the person who I was, and I was just like, okay, this isn't me.
Mhm.
But I just felt that's what needed to be done, and I actually started dating other people.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what he was doing because I didn't communicate with him.
Wow.
But I'll let him, I guess, tell you how, like, his side.
Dr.
If
Short,
that-
why are you looking like that? You want to come jump on my
No, you know, so we went our little separate ways for a
Mhm.
minute, and you know, but I always believe whatever's for you is for you.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm gonna tell you the craziest thing, you know,
Mhm.
like when I got done doing what I was gonna do, whatever, and I remember I'm like, all right, you know, I remember I was making a band. Diddy was in town, my
Okay.
buddy Fosworth Ben, we all hanging out with Diddy and everything,
Mhm.
and we were at Justin's, and I just remember I'm drinking my Hennessy, you know, my normal thing, and there's like a spotlight shined on me. It's like, what are you doing? What are you gonna do with your life? I'm like, what? It's like, it wasn't really like an audible voice, but it was
Mhm.
something. It's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you know, I'm just kicking it. I'm still kicking it. So, you know, Hennessy straight was my drink. That's what I did. And so I went back. I had my little bachelor pad, and and I got sick that night. You know, I'm like, man, I know I'm gonna get sick. And it was just like, all right. It was almost like God was like, hey man, you need to clean this up because I got a future for you.
Wow.
And so you know, so I was dealing with different chicks here and there, but it was never satisfying, you know, and I'm just like, you know, it's empty, you know, and I was like, man, there's gotta be something better. And I remember one time when me and Angela, who's not my wife, we just disconnected completely. And I just remember getting her number from my mom, and my mom had her number. She kept in contact. So I was like, this is going to be your wife. I'm like, nah, I done messed that bridge up too bad. And I remember I got really sick, and I was like, let me just call her and see if she can take me to the hospital. I'm like really sick. And I called her, and I'm like, hey, can you swear any way you can take me to the hospital? She said, nope, and hung up the phone. I'm like, oh man, she's really done with me. Like, she don't care if I live or die. I'm like, hold on. So that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, this is done. So then, you know, shortly after that, I remember we had, when we were together, I had did some, we had bought like a computer together or something. They gave me like a rebate check, some weird thing. And I called my mom. I'm like, hey, I got this rebate check. I know it don't really belong to me. It belongs to her, but you know, I think I need to cash this joint. She was like, no, you need to do the right thing. You need to call her and get her the check. And I'm like, she's not gonna even pick up the phone. So she's like, just try it. So I called her and said, hey, can you meet me at this place? And I just want to give you this check. And she was just like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And you say, well, okay, we're done. I'm like, yeah, I know we're done. So I met her at the place and I gave her the check and I was like, look, you know, is there any way that we can talk? Cause I've changed. I started going to church and start doing those kind of things. And she was like, I don't know about that. So I was like, let's just grab a coffee or something. And we just talked. And after a period of time, you know, we were like, well, let's just try to learn, you know, be back together as friends. Nothing sexual, nothing like that. So we ended up being just cool, just friends. And then, you know, one day we were going through the mall and I was like, man, you know, what if I get married? What would this engagement ring look like? And she was kind of hanging out with me. And I talked to the jeweler and she kind of went in there and I was like, if somebody were to propose you, which one would you like, all these rings? And she pointed to the ring, and that was the ring I had already pointed out to the jeweler. And so that was kind of like, gave me goosebumps. I'm like, man, this is like really, like the stars are really lining up. And so the guy looked, he's like, yeah, this is the one. So, you know, we ended up, you know, getting engaged and got married. And the thing is, the cool thing is that, you know, we have, you know, so much history together. And it was cool because we can go back and look at some of those crazy times and we don't judge each other because that was all before we got married. But it built, you know, a relationship of solidarity, and it allows us to be able to help other people through their relationships, you know, and showing that, hey, you know what, you can break up and get back together. Hey, you know what, you can, believe it or not, get divorced and down the road get back together. You know, it's possible, you know, but it has to be something that you have to be secure in yourself, and you have to, you know what you want and be able to say, I'm sorry, man, I messed up. These are the things, and the other person have to do the same thing. You have to be able to respect and learn how to forgive and forget. And a lot of people, they'll forgive, but they won't forget. And if they can't forget, in my opinion, they really didn't forgive you. So anyway, that's just kind of the little background of how we ended up getting back together. And, you know, 15 years later, we look back at it and was like, man, we were crazy. And it just worked out.
I really admire your strength as a woman because it takes a lot of courage to walk away from someone that you care about, but you had enough self-worth that you didn't subject yourself. You understand? Not that you were doing, but you was having fun doing your thing, you know, and that allowed you guys to be able to come back together, you know what I'm saying, when the time was right, and build something really genuine and, you know, really good, as opposed to, like a lot of women do, subject themselves to the negativity, knowing that that person is not ready, and then you ruin any chances of anything coming out of it. So I admire that. I really do. And I admire you for being persistent and, you know, continuing to try, even when she was like, no.
Like, I'm dying.
I
here.
love that. Yes.
Click. Like, man, what is that, Peasy? Huh? What kind of love is that?
I can't hear myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But I was gonna say, it didn't matter that he was sick. It didn't matter any
Yeah,
of that
you
did
stood
not
your
matter.
ground.
You stood your ground.
You stood your ground.
I'm not close enough. I gotta be all in the mic. Like
I would
that.
love. I mean, I don't know, but
Jesus.
that I would love to like hear more of that, just that time in your life and what you were doing, and because it would help a lot of women, single women mainly. You know what I'm saying? To navigate that process. You know what I'm saying? Of
Yeah.
trying to date and figure out who is the one and who is not, and whether you should stay or whether you should go, whether you should fight for it or whether you should let it go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you definitely made him elevate, and you did not come down off of your throne. I like you, girl. Yes, you sick. I don't care. Have a nice night. Come through with the proof that you really have changed, and we could talk. I love it. Love
Absolutely. So, guys, when we come back, we're going to pick it up. It's relationship status.
On
With
Power 108.9.
all right.
This is your new favorite internet radio, Power 108.9.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already. Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive.
Stay up on what's happening here at Power. We've got new shows, new guests, and new events that help us connect with the community. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Power 108.9. You can also go to power1089.com to get all of the updated news and happenings here at Power. Thanks for listening.
Okay. All right, guys, it's your girl Chanel. I'm sorry, I don't even know my name. Chanel, we back on relationship status.
It's your boy J Powell checking in.
So, guys, as we wrap up this topic, I want to hear some closing thoughts. Like this conversation, like I really enjoyed you. I really did. I think, we gleaned a lot from the both of you. It was really helpful. And also just to have a picture of like what healthy relationship look like. And even when you decided to say, okay, we're going to take a break, it was still healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. But before we, close it out, Jonay, what you got?
In closing, I think I said everything that I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you compare yourself to others, it just shows that you have more inner work to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you catch yourself, whoever's listening, if you catch yourself comparing yourself to others, just know that you have more work to do, and you have to be able to vibrate on a higher frequency so you can attract what you need.
Let me ask you this though, while we're talking about that one piece, affirmation. Is it, and you guys tell me, because I don't, like people say, well, I don't need affirmation or I don't need validation from a man. I don't need validation. I know who I am, but I do want to be affirmed. Even it don't even have to be in relationship. Maybe my girlfriends,
that might be your love language, because I don't need affirming, but my husband does. He needs to hear good job. He needs to hear I appreciate that. I don't need that. I can look in the
But-
mirror and say, girl, you bomb.
No, but not
That's-
just not just in word though. But like, you know, a person can make you feel welcome without saying you're welcome. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Um,
So I mean, you need like you want like
you need something has to show you that you're appreciated or
Right.
wanted around. That energy is natural.
Mhm.
It's not something that somebody has to work towards.
Right, absolutely. It should be
So
organic.
yeah, it should be absolutely organic.
Mhm.
So, but a lot of people don't need it in words, but you should be able to express it in some way.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things, and you know, I see now, and you know, being a professional, been around a lot of
Yes.
professionals, especially a lot of single professional women, man. I'm trying to say this without y'all hitting me with nothing, but
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
say
you
it.
It's okay.
you know, your bar is so high,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and I get it, you know, you want, you know, everything and all other kind of stuff, but how long are you willing to wait? You know, and what are you willing to sacrifice? Because no one's perfect. I'm not perfect.
Absolutely.
Now somebody may look at me and say, "Oh yeah, your wife, she has the perfect person. He's dot, but I'm not perfect. I have issues that I still have to work through and work
Mhm.
with."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of times what I see is that, you know, some women that are friends of ours, you know, oh, this guy got to make X amount of dollars, he has to drive this kind of car, he has to live here, he has to live there, and it's like, you know, is that what you really want? You know,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying you go out and get a bum, and I'm
Right.
not saying to lower your standards just to
bum.
have somebody,
Right.
you know, but what I am saying is sometimes when I see, you know, we got some other, you know, like I say, some other professional female friends that we used to try to play matchmaker, hookup,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it'll be like something like minor, and it's like, really, like, you know, because they don't drive a 7 Series, they're just in a 5, you don't like them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for real.
She's
Yeah,
probably
you know,
projecting her own
and,
insecurities.
you know,
That's
and,
all that is.
you know, and so I see that sometimes, and I'm like, you know, just, you know, you can't really do that. And you know what if you guys get together and then, you know, y'all work together and
Mhm.
both of y'all have like 7s or something like that,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I see a lot of times, and I see that a lot of women, they'll look at other relationships, and like we said, they'll compare, and they were
Yeah.
like, oh, but you don't know what it took
You don't
Right.
know
to
the
get
dynamic.
to where that. I mean, like,
Right.
you know, I'm not gonna even make a joke. You know, I'm just gonna tell you. I mean, me and my wife, we're very financially successful.
Mhm.
It didn't happen overnight. Yeah, we live in the country club. We are the only black people in Merida Country Club. I'm just gonna tell you like that. And we're the youngest.
Right.
And that's, but they don't know the sacrifice, the blood,
Right.
sweat, and tears, and what we had to sacrifice,
Mhm.
and what we still have to sacrifice to
Mhm.
enjoy that lifestyle for not only our family, but
Yeah.
to be mentors and role models for other people that look up to us.
Mhm.
You know, and it didn't start like that. I mean, you know, I was driving my Nissan Sentra for like 10 years.
Right.
And I had the money in the bank to buy whatever I wanted, but I'm like, you know, I want to get out of, you know, debt. I want to get
Right.
financially free. And when I'm
Mhm.
financially free,
Absolutely.
then I can splurge on some of those things that are depreciating assets. You guys got to
Right.
understand the difference
Absolutely.
between that,
Right.
you know, and you know, and so that's all. That's, you know, I want to leave it there for you guys, you
That's
know, as
good.
far as, you know,
Yeah.
what are you really looking for, and how high are your standards going to be before you say, okay, I'm willing to compromise in a few
Yeah.
areas. You know,
Absolutely. Right. Is that a question or is
that's
that
a-
rhetorical
that's an
question?
open question.
Well, well, even though I am not single, but I was, and I do know people that do have all of these check marks that they have
Right.
to go down.
Mhm.
And I do think that if you choose to wait for everybody to have everything together,
Absolutely.
I feel like, look in the mirror. Are you together like
Right.
that?
Right.
Right.
Are you and not even just materialistic, but
Mhm.
are you in a position where you are able to communicate well?
Mhm.
Is your sex drive going to meet his? Or
Mhm.
all of these things that
Right.
are very important. It's
Yeah.
not just
Right.
about money. And in Atlanta, we are so pretentious in this city.
Mhm.
You know, we definitely, you know, what you drive, where you live, where you hang out, what country club, what membership, what
Mhm.
co-working space, all of these
Right.
things are important.
Mhm.
But status can be granted and it can be taken away. So
Absolutely.
what do you have inside? So anytime I hear that,
Absolutely.
it's like, yeah, girl, work on yourself. That
Mhm.
so your friends that are just focusing on those things,
Mhm.
she needs to focus on what's really inside, so she can attract somebody that's even worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's good. Well, guys, I want to go ahead and plug Ministry before we shut this down. Guys, go ahead and get your tickets at comministrycharlotte.eventbrite.com. September 7th, we'll be in Charlotte. We'll be dealing with Affirmations of a Woman Communication Breakdown. So get your tickets. We're launching real soon. So look out for that info. Josh, did you have anything you want to share with folks?
Oh, sure. I guess for me, man, it's just understanding the power of being aware. And I think a lot of us, we feel as if we got it figured out and this, that, and the third, man. But understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, work on both. Just try to be the best version of yourself that you can be, and only focus on yourself. And again, I know we've talked a lot about certain energies, what's for you, what's not, this, that, and the third. But just at the end of the day, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody do it better than you.
That's right.
Know that God brought us on this earth for a reason. He specifically handcrafted you. So there's no other that's like you, you know what I'm saying, and how you're built and your makeup. But just be understanding of that. No pressure. Don't beat yourself up. Just know that everybody is going through something in some way, shape, or form, and just appreciate your journey.
That was beautiful.
That was great.
And you said I wasn't ready.
I'm just asking, like, are you gonna say something?
Always ready.
All right, guys. Well, until next time. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Relational status, Power 108.9. Dr. Short, Queen, we appreciate both of y'all.
You did.
Oh,
You know what? One other thing, I did forget. Where can we find you guys on social media? I always like to,
Minute 30 remaining. You see the countdown.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Dr. Rico Short, Twitter at Dr. Rico Short. You can follow me on Facebook at The Root Canal Doc or Celebrity Endodontist on Facebook. And I'm always there. Every day I post something called the Inspirational Vitamin, Inspirational Word for the Day. It's like a 5-minute clip, and it's awesome.
There it is. Jonay, where can we find you?
You can find me at Black Lives Matter everywhere. So www.blacklivesmatter.us and Instagram Black Lives Matter, Facebook Black Lives Matter, and Twitter Black Lives Matter.
Josh?
You can find me at Seven Springs Church. Josh on Instagram, Josh21 Powell, Twitter, JP21 Reasons. Kind of new to the Facebook thing, so I guess just search your boy. You dig.
All right, and you can find your girl Chanel Nicole Scott on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And follow us on Relationship Status Live on all social media platforms. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is actually Josh and Chanel RS. But see you guys in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. Peace.